Hello. Today I am going to continue working on the roguelike campaign that I've been working on. It's been a while since I did a dev stream. It's about a week. And since I am unemployed currently, 1 week is actually a lot of time. So I was able to get a whole lot done. If you checked out any of my last dev streams, there's a VOD on the YouTube channel. And so if you want to see what I worked on in the past, you can check out the YouTube channel. But yeah, to summarize, I mean, I did a whole bunch of UI changes, a whole bunch of extra polish. I added a bunch of new enemies that can appear in the campaign. Another big thing I changed is the font that I'm using. I think it looks a lot snappier. I made it so you can unlock different challenges over time. Last stream, I added these upgrades, but now I kind of have this new currency type. It used to just be a placeholder, but now that is what I'm calling shadow. So you collect shadow for your meta upgrades. And throughout the run, there used to be just currency, it was generic, but now I've officially made it gold. There's like a gold that you earn throughout the run and you can spend it on items. What else? Yeah, I added a little story time section where there's going to be a little story. It's going to have some images associated with the story just to give a little bit more context for what you're doing while you're playing. It's not in yet, so it's just some placeholder text, but just kind of stubbing things out and seeing how things feel. There's also this little scrolling background now, which I think is cool. That also works on the versus menu. And I'll probably add more icons to it. Right now it's just the critters' heads, but let's see how that looks. See what people think. But yeah, so for today, my plan is I want to add some extra polish to the animations for the run. One thing I want to do is when a new enemy spawns, I want a little camera that zooms in on the enemy and shows them. And if it's an enemy you've never seen before, it can give a little name and then a little description of what the character does. Ideally, different enemy types would have different visuals. So like a sniper would have some visual associated with the sniper to let you know when you see them at a distance, oh, that's a sniper. But for now, that's not in. So I'll start with just the sort of camera intro thing. And that's most important for the final boss, which I added a final boss to every run. And I want to give some sort of celebration moment when the final boss spawns. And so what I did just before going live was I added a little animation, like a little battle cry animation that there's a spawn animation for every enemy and the boss is a unique one. So I'm going to see just now, I haven't actually tested it. So let's see if the spawn animation works. They should be crouching when they spawn. Okay. Seems that it did not work. This one's also burning. So I want to see. It's interesting. Yeah, why did it not work? Let's take a look at some of these animations. Okay. This should be fish one. Look. It is just a regular enemy. So if I take a look at its animation graph, you can see here I have, maybe it's a little small, but there's like this new battle cry animation that I got off of Mixamo. Just a cute little battle cry that they do. So that's going to be for when the final boss spawns. The camera will zoom in on them, slow down while he's doing the battle cry. But for normal enemies, I want them to do this like stand-up animation. Very simple, but it's just a little something for them to come out of the little spawn portal that they have. Okay, and yeah, the reason why it didn't work, I remember I added the field for the spawn animation trigger, but I didn't actually look it up yet. So most enemies, I'll select all the enemies. They are all using crouch, stand up. Now, theoretically, they should all play it, but there's also the boss, and the boss should be battle cry. Cool. I think that's about it. Okay. And now if I kill these guys, let me just switch back to scene view. There we go. If I just take these guys out, more enemies should spawn. All right, you know, I'll just end this match. Skip to the next round. Take a look at the new enemies. Not actually testing, so I'm going to skip the shop. They don't really care. Oh, so all of them play it, including my guys now. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to see because there's the orb has this big explosion. I think that's fine. Another thing I added was I made it so that there's a hold to fire. You have to click and hold on a unit now to fire. In early playtests, or just playtesting it a lot, a lot of people were accidentally clicking on the units. So now if you just click, you can see it's kind of filling up. If you click and hold and it fills up, then you drag, it cancels. So you actually have to click and hold and not drag and release. And then it does it. That should prevent some accidental clicks. Okay, so I just end turn. Yeah, looks nice. Got their little stand up. So I want to know why did my critters stand up? Like mine stand up when oops, just end this. Why did my critters stand up when the game started? I want to see if somehow this trigger is being called. And I'm also going to look at the animator for the enemies to see if the animator somehow has that trigger set by default. Let's see. Oh, it is. Well, that would explain it. Okay, uncheck that. Which is not the end of the world if mine spawns standing up. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's not necessary. Okay. So I guess I can stop this now, delete the old checkpoint. Breakpoint, I mean. And now let's go to the final boss. So, it would be nice to have a cheat to kill all the enemy waves. Maybe I should add one rather than... Oh, there's an exception now? I think that was always there. I'll just go into this match. Yeah, I'm just skipping to the final match so that I can see the final boss. And then I'll just grant myself a bunch of cool items. So I am listening to random Sonic music. Last time I've been listening to Donkey Kong usually, but I'm trying out some Sonic music this time. The new Sonic music playlist. Let's see. This time doesn't matter. Or at this point, I'm just trying to get some powerful items so that I don't just so I can actually make it to the final boss. And I'm basically just cheating myself a bunch of good items. Cheats, hooray. Okay. Trying to get to the final boss just to make sure that the spawn animation works. I also want to make it so the boss spawns with like this little void ball thing that spawns. I want them to, the final boss should be like red or something to indicate that it's different. And the other thing I added is the final boss, the final round now, are these shadow creatures. And they're a clone of your critter. So if you play as Fox, then they're a shadow version of a fox. But yeah, they have different material that makes them look all shadowy. And they have glowing yellow eyes. I think it's cool. Of course, wearing their cute little armor. Always nice. Yeah, and then the glow that they show through walls, like the extra highlight, that also glows in purple. So yeah, we have 3 waves here because I'm playing on easy mode. I'm just gonna take them out. To the final boss. I have a fear. Okay, I was afraid it was gonna hit the umbrella and hurt me. Always fun watching them explode. Start ragdolling. Okay, so we want this guy to move over there. Sniper, I guess it doesn't matter. They can't move anyway. End of the turn. They're doing their little stand-up animation. Still good. Taking a look at the shield, they don't have anything that would damage me. That only appears at beast mode. That's another thing I changed since last week. There's 3 difficulty modes now, and on critter mode, they spawn with fewer items, but on beast mode and monster mode, which are the harder difficulties, they start to get additional items. So here they only have 2 shields, but since this is the 4th match, on beast mode they would have an extra shield and a shield buffing item, which makes them a lot tougher. But as it is now, they should be a piece of cake. Although I didn't shoot far enough, so I missed. I don't think I can get an angle on that guy up there. Oh, I can. I move here. Nice sniper shot. Oh, but I got a body shot. Aim too low. I have an item here that says you deal -1 for body shots. And I missed, so I got -1 damage. This guy has homing ammo, so if I aim a little high, it should home in down on them and kill them. All good. I don't think... Oh, this guy can shoot again. So I just aim a little bit higher. Look him out. Nice. And to end the turn. Next wave should have the boss. Final wave. Oh man, the homing ammo hit the shield. Bad aim. Okay, so it was a little bit more than the 1 tick mark. Yeah, still not far enough. I need a little bit more. But yeah, with the sniper, maybe I can get a good angle on him. If I go around the bamboo, I can. Wait for the spinning shield. Up, a little bit too high. Aim a little bit lower because this unit can shoot twice. And I'm bad. Missed again. I guess I'll have to wait another round to see the boss. After this, I'm definitely adding a cheat to just kill waves instantly. Increased damage. Okay. Kill him with the archer here. Okay. So here, this is showing that there's one unit spawning, and then there's 4 more. One thing that I want is I want to spawn the boss with the other wave. The way my data is set up, it's a little bit tricky. I added a little bit of an optimization to the data structure to allow, I say optimization, it's not like performance, but rather than having a bunch of custom waves, I just added a way to randomize the units in a wave. So these units could be randomized, but then the boss is separate. And I want to spawn them together so they kind of look like a group. But basically, because this one's by itself, I know this one's going to be the boss. And knowing just the way that my waves work, this is like a runt wave. So there's a new enemy type that I added, which is the runt archetype. And they are smaller than their average unit. They have less health, but they're also faster and they have shotguns. The point is they charge you and shoot, but they're harder to hit at a distance because they're smaller. But they also have low health, so they're really easy to take out with AoE, which would make my mortar unit do a lot of damage, basically wipe out the whole wave instantly. It's very strong. But yeah, the thing I'm testing now is I just want to see when this guy spawns, you should do a little battle cry animation. So I don't actually even care about winning the wave, clearing the wave. So I'm going to zoom in. Actually, I'll zoom out a little bit, and then I'll end turn, and you should see. Yeah, so he does his little battle cry. It didn't linger on him, so I'll have to hook that up. But yeah, the boss is a lot bigger than the normal unit, as you can see. As tall as the tree almost. And this one happened to spawn with a shield. There's a little bit of randomization for the items. He also deals more damage when he has less health, and he spawns with a legendary weapon. Plus you can see that he has 6 hearts, which is a lot more than the others. These all have 2. And yeah, like I said, it's a runt wave. It's a bunch of the little guys with shotguns, and they're going to charge me down. Cool. Yeah, so I'll just try to finish this out. Good damage. Because even though it's a boss, I'm very powerful right now. I'll probably take him out in 1 turn. I was thinking, if you have a boss and then a bunch of spawns with a wave, I mean, it makes sense that you should still have to clear out the wave, but it is a little anticlimactic to say, oh, now I have to clean up the rest of them. And then if I lose, like I defeated the boss, but I still lost because of all the other guys. It's a little bit strange, but let's see. And that was a bad decision. I moved under the tree, so my mortar just went up and hit the tree, and I ended up not dealing any damage there. But I can at least take out another one with my homing ammo. Let's see what this final wave can do. We're going to take damage from the burning. Move forward and try to land a mortar shot here. Take out one. Snipe some of the other ones. Got this one first. The other one's behind a little piece of bamboo, so a little bit of a hard shot. Have to shoot above this bamboo piece and off to the side. So this would be a tough shot, but thankfully I have a sniper rifle. It's not so bad. Cool. And there's the run. Yeah, this still needs to be converted to purple background. Right now it's sharing the colors with the fox. So it just kind of looks like a little awkward. It should definitely be purple. Real quick, I'm gonna pull this off screen for a sec. Okay, bring that back. There we have our run victory. You get some shadow. You see your run status, all the different items you had, everything. And then you're good to go. Back to the menu, it records the best completed difficulty, and then unlocks more difficulties. And that's an overview of the mode. Now, some things I'm going to add real quick. I'm going to go Game Manager. I have a little section where I just have some dev cheats. So I'm going to add one here. If you press J, I'll make it so that it kills units on the enemy team. So that way I don't have to actually play through a wave just to see the final boss. Yeah, run type. They are fun. I like having an enemy type that's based around the AoE. So you can focus on explosive damage or chain lightning ammo, things like that. If you really focus on like one single high damage weapon, they're a little bit scary. So you have to diversify your builds a little bit. Yeah, I think they're fun. Okay, let me just make sure that this actually works. This little cheat that I just added. So this should make it a little bit faster to get to the final boss. I'll just go through that. It's kind of the faster way. If I press J now. Wait, what? Oh, it's giving me a bunch of achievements for some reason. Okay, so if I kill them both and then end turn, it should... Yeah, it just continues on. Okay. And then pressing that should still win. So what I want to do now is add an extra state where there's like a camera that focuses on enemies when they spawn. So the way I have it, I go to my game camera. Oh, not there. I have a couple different camera states. So my camera operates on a state machine. So based on what you're doing in the game, the camera will have different states. For example, following a bullet or lingering after a bullet hits, various other state transitions. So one state that I wanted to have, basically I just have to add a new one for focusing on the boss when it spawns. I'm trying to think, should it be camera state or should it just be embedded in the start of turn state? So let me look at all the other camera states that I have. Go back here, game camera, finger. Yeah, so we have first person, third person, item grant. Although I think item grant's deprecated now. That's an older version of the camera. Watch shooter. Where is this used? Let's see. Wouldn't be surprised. Oh, okay, so it is used. Oh, it's not used. It was used by the sword back when I had a sword a long time ago. Just meant as a replacement for the bullet falling state. Follow bullet state. So we have follow bullet, follow physics object, human controlled first person, third person. Focus shooter state. That's probably something like what I want. I see. The way this works, it moves camera to position, adds a slow effect. When the focus is complete, it removes the slow effect, and then enters the linger state. Okay, so something similar to that. Focus shooter, but then the other thing I want is I want to look at the start of turn step state. This is at the start of the turn, it goes through a bunch of different actions. One of the actions is spawning enemies. What we do here, there should be something with a camera. Okay, yeah. It does a game manager focus on position. So I just kind of move the camera over and focus on the position. I believe the way this works is it sets it as animating, which prevents player input from overriding it. It blocks player input. Or I guess in this entire player turn step state, there is no player input. I wonder what state the camera's in this moment. It's probably a third person, just like a third person state. Human. There's AI third person and human third person. This is probably in the third person state for AI or human, depending on which player's turn it is. So this is the AI's version. This is when we get the third person for the player, which I'm assuming happens when the turn starts. Yeah, so it starts in that state. Which means it would be in that state no matter what. So if we go to the human third person state, this should say that we prevent input if the camera's animating. Yep. But also, we probably... does this update only get called when we're in the gameplay state? Let's see. I guess I'll just put a breakpoint and see what happens. But basically what I'm trying to figure out now is I want the camera to go from third person top down, zoom in on the boss when it spawns, kind of orbit around it for a little bit, and then go return back to its original position. I'm trying to determine if that should happen inside of one of the camera states, or if I should just do it inside of the, just like out external to the camera. So I'll attach this to Unity, I'll put a breakpoint, take a look if this update function is being called. Okay, so I go here, I can pause, put a breakpoint, and continue. Cool. So it was not being called, which means the update for this state machine is probably only called in the actual player state. Yeah, here we go. Yep, so it only updates when we're actually in the player turn state. Which means even if I added a camera state, it wouldn't call the update. It would still, yeah, it wouldn't call the update. Okay, so the question then is, should I just make a new state and then refactor it so that it updates? There's no reason it shouldn't update during the other states, like start turn step state. Take a look at focus on object, this function. So we have this function here that I wrote, focus on position. We'll move the camera, lerp it into a position to focus on an object. So I could add, I guess as a first pass, I'll just add a version that focuses at eye level and orbits for a set amount of time. And then if I want to move it into a state in the future, I could just do that. But I just kind of want to get some code down and start working. I'll just go ahead and make a new function. One function that's kind of the entry point. It's just the encapsulation of the entire logic to focus on the boss and also rotate. So this would be, I'll just be explicit and call it campaign focus on enemy. I can always rename it, make it more generic later. I didn't get the void. So here we're going to have a unit that we're focusing on. What do we normally do? Do we have, yeah, callback will be helpful. And I guess I'll add a float for the time as well. And I'll keep the rotation angle as a constant. So for now, I'll just put it in the function. Let's call it orbit amount. And we'll say, what is it, like negative some amount to positive some amount. I'll just say it's 30, roughly 30 degrees. So let's write out some comments to indicate what this is going to do. So we'll move camera to move camera to look at the unit's base, offset by orbit amount. Then we rotate the camera around the unit. Or then we return back to the original position. And then we fire the complete callback. If we're moving the camera to the shooter's face. What we need is some distance. So let's make another one. Say maybe 2 meters. Of course, you can always adjust it. So now we have the shooter's facing direction. So yeah, it's that plus I think it's just they're transformed up forward, but they have a rotating root, so the transform forward might just be aligned with the axis. I'm not really sure. But yeah, for now, so I'm gonna give a little fish there. Put him off on the little side there, so there's something to look at while I'm doing some code. What we want is, I guess I can just look. I take a look at fish 1. Yeah, their transform is not rotated, but they do have a rotating root that has a forward. That's their forward direction. Cool. So we'll do root.transform forward. Times the distance. Now this is the camera's position. Do angle axis, you can get the angle in degrees it says, so this is the orbit amount, and vector3.app. That gives us the quaternion to rotate by that amount, that angle. So if we have the camera position, it's the point that we're focusing on, plus distance along the forward. So if we take this minus the I'm also going to go here and do the 3 focus point. Let's make this shorter so I can use it in more formulas or equations. We got the focus point, and then we have this vector. Focus point. So once we have the camera to the focus, we multiply by rotation. This is camera to focus, so this is rotated vector to focus point. order of operations matters, so I have to put that there. And so our camera position then should be the focus point plus the rotated vector. Oops. So it would be minus the rotated vector to focus point. We want to do this within a drop this to 15 just so I don't have to divide by 2 every time. Okay, so what we want to do is we get the angle, or the initial starting position, which is that currently. So we want to do a lerp camera to position and rotation, which is a helper function that I already wrote that does it. And now I want that to happen first. So we're going to yield return this. And just plug in all the different variables. So I know that it uses desired position. And we got desired rotation. That would be Quaternion.look rotation. Yeah. The forward being camera to focus point. Cool. Oh, but that's just forward, so that's not exactly what we want. It would be camera to focus point. Oh, it'd be this rotated version. So, move the camera to the starting position and rotation. We move that. After that's done, now we want to rotate. I guess I already have the comment there. Rotate around the shooter. So, we have a while loop. We're going to make a new variable for the timer. The timer starts at focus time. Or even, I'll just start it at 0. The timer, do it while the timer is less than the focus time. Increase by delta time. Then we want to increase the orbit. So add a new variable for current orbit. We'll call that negative orbit amount. So we'll start at negative and go up to positive. So the current orbit plus equals, just add another constant for the orbit speed. I guess we don't, if it's the focus time, then it would actually just be never mind, we don't need the current orbit. We would just right here, the current orbit would be still lerp between negative orbit amount and positive orbit amount by focus time, or a timer divided by focus time. That gives us a linear interpolation between the orbits, so it'll rotate in a smooth manner. Then we know the camera position is supposed to be we can calculate the camera position, but we could also just do a transform.rotate around. So I guess technically we don't even really need the current orbit value. Yeah, probably. I think rotate around might be deprecated, so I think it's just rotate. Let's see. So we can access in an angle. And let's see, rotate around still. I think it is deprecated, but I just want to see. This is allows you to rotate around a point as well, a certain distance away, so it's just a nice helper function that wraps some of that extra logic. Okay. So we're rotating around the focus point by the angle or the axis being vector 3.up, and the angle would just be the orbit amount divided by focus time. I think I have to multiply the orbit amount by times 2. It's starting halfway, and we're getting twice as far. So double the orbit amount, divide by focus time. Okay. And we'll just give that a test and see if it works. And of course we need to return null just to keep it going. This is a it's a coroutine. Fire the callback. It's complete, and returning the camera to its original position. So at the start of the function up here, it's going to record the original position. And we'll say a little bit of an annoying. I think it's going to look really bad when I do it, but I can always tweak it and make it better later. So I guess I'll start with just recording it. So we have the original position. Have the original rotation, returning it. Down here at the bottom, we're going to call this yield return pre-up. Move the camera to position. Do that with the original position rotation. So let's call this work in progress. Function to focus on enemies with 1. Okay, and we'll toss that into our start of turn step state. This is called. This is where we spawn the enemies. Right now, I'll just toss it on every enemy. Whenever any enemy spawns, let's focus on position, spawn the enemy, and then we'll linger on the spawn for a brief while. We'll temporarily comment that out and instead throw this in. So we'll yield return. And we got the camera. Now what do we need? We need the unit, which is new enemy. Focus time, I'll just throw 1 second for now. And let's give it a try. Don't have expectations that it's going to work on the first try, but who knows? How often does code work on the first try? Not very often. Okay, it compiled. Okay, here we go. Way too much, and also not far enough at all. Okay, so the numbers need some work. I think maybe the rotate around is using radians possibly, which is why it's rotating so much more than I thought. And distance from shooter being 2, obviously that needs to be a lot more. So let's try 5. Rotate around. Oh, it says in degrees. Now the focus time, so the focus time is 1 second. We want to get a fraction of the orbit amount that is equal to the amount of like time that's spent. Essentially each frame. So what we want is actually focus time. Yeah, that math is just wrong. It should be multiplied by the fraction of time that has passed, which would be the focus time divided by the amount of time. Or the other way around. If we have a very small amount of time has passed, we multiply that by the orbit amount, so we only rotate a very small amount. Okay. And now we give that a try. Just a little bit of wrong math. I also want to do some sort of time slowdown when it happens, when it does the rotate. But I know that I'm using time.delta time. So the question there is, should I use unscaled delta time? Or do I want the rotation to also slow down at the same time that time is slowed down in the game? Okay, let's see it. Cool, except it seems to be behind them instead of in front of them. Raising them really far out also, I just want to see. And we'll get into a weird position and turn. It should spawn them, but it's going to zoom in. No, in this function I have this use slurp function. Remember, the way I do this transition is I kind of pick a focal point and then I rotate around using that point. So my question there is, the way it works right now, when it transitions out of the zoom in, It's very jarring. So do I have a nice helper function that allows me to focus on a point and then rotate? I don't think so. Spherical lerp. Oh, it does do a local rotation. There's a camera focal point. Where does that come from? Oh, it's just a standard. Okay, so that's not going to work for my use case. If I wanted to, I could write my own version. So it seems like it's starting behind and then rotating a little to the side. Obviously, I want the front facing, so let's take a look at my logic again. The focus point is your head. Oh, yeah, this is backwards. That explains that. That explains why it was facing from behind. Now, why is it off by some amount? So we got the focus point minus the rotated vector to the focus point. Okay, I'm just going to give this a try again now that I corrected the flipped vector, see if that's any better. But yeah, so what I'm working on right now is I wrote some logic that will allow the camera to focus on enemies as they spawn, if I so choose. And so right now I'm just testing it on every enemy, but it's mostly going to be used for the boss. When a boss spawns, the camera can zoom in on their face, focus on them, do a little rotate around them, and then tell me, like maybe put up the name of the boss on the screen or something like that. Just a little extra visual polish. Here we should see him spawn. Yeah, it's a little janky when there's a wall in the way or something. I could do a raycast to get the max distance. So raycast backwards if it hits a wall or something. And set that as the maximum distance. Yeah, maybe using this rotate around is not ideal in that case, because then if I don't use the rotate around, if I just calculate my own rotation, then I can better focus on, or like I can do raycasts to determine the maximum distance. Take another look here. So it zooms in, it shows them spawning. There's a statue in the way. Yeah, so it looks like it spawns kind of in their face and then rotates a little bit. So I want to rotate like to one side and then rotate around. There's something wrong with my logic here. Unless it's just the distance that it's rotating. Yeah, this maybe is supposed to be negative. Maybe 15 is not enough, so I'll up this to 25. And I'll also make it a little bit longer in 1 second. That start of turn. So we'll bump this up to 2 seconds. And I want to add a slowdown. So I'll take a look at, where is it? This focus shooter state, for example. I have add slow effect, I have remove slow effect. Slow time. Temporarily. It's just a test right now. We'll do half speed. And I'll just add this little helper variable just to make it a little bit faster to type. So we'll add a slow effect, we'll wait, and then we'll remove slow effect. So with the owner of the cause, delay, whatever, that's fine. I think those are, no, they're not optional. They're required parameters. What did I do on my other example? So use 0.5. Okay. And just trying to rough it out right now. So just gonna toss these in. I'll move them to better variables controlled by data and all that fancy stuff in the future. Awesome. Let's give that another test. So now that I fixed the negative, it should spawn on the right side of the critter, rotate around to the left side of the critter over 2 seconds. And I did add a time slow effect, so that could potentially throw a wrinkle in things. With the time slowing, it might take longer than 2 seconds now because I'm using time.delta time instead of an unscaled. Let's see. Oh, it still looks pretty good. It is very jarring the way the camera kind of lerps away. It'd be nice if it just zoomed out without doing the rotation. So I could do that in a second. Let me just take another look. So I'll kill the units, kill the wave, and then jump to the next wave. So how does this look again? See them spawning in. So I have go back to the camera. Why is it just playing a clear compilation? I'm just gonna skip this song. Yeah, so I have this one camera function that I use often, which has a spherical lerp. Uses a pre-rotation. So basically it would rotate the camera to look at the focal point first, and then it rotates around the focal point. I forget if there's a post-rotation. I don't think so. But it keeps it looking at the focal point. So here, quaternion look rotation. I feel like maybe I can't use this helper function. Instead, I'll just have to do my own, which is not super hard. It's obviously just like one line. Where's that one line actually? Where am I sitting? So there's the quaternion LARP here. Spherical LARP. Where's the... Oh, here, the ratio. Yeah. Essentially, I just need these lines anyway. All of the rest of it is kind of just extra nice stuff for specifically LARPing the camera when you're viewing a top-down view versus a first-person view. So I'm going to go ahead and just replace this. I also don't really like this whole extra macquarie here. It's unnecessary. So instead, just write my own while loop. Let's move the timer up there because it's generally reused. Timer is less than, I'll just make a constant, although this will probably be a parameter function in the future. Or, you know, whatever. I'll just use the constant that I already have, camera LARP time. And I can swap it out for something in the future if I need. Okay, so we want the while loop to increment the timer, and we want the position to LARP. So just be a LARP. So this is a vector 3 LARP from the original position to the camera position. This is of course timer divided by LARP time. I'll just go ahead and make a float here for camera LARP time, and I'll set it equal to the constant just so it's a little bit easier to change that out for a parameter in the future. I can use that. Now have to change the constant in multiple places if I choose. We increment the timer, we do the position, but then the difference with the rotation is that we have look at. We just do look, or transform.look at. And then this one will allow us to focus on the point that we want to look at, which is just here, focus point. So it'll zoom in without awkwardly rotating the camera. And that seems much simpler. So let's just comment this out temporarily. And then we'll have to do the same thing again. Here. And we'll also need a store off the position here. So let's call it camera, I guess, orbit final position. We just do transform that position. So we'll get the basically starting position of this LARP is the final position of the orbit. So we do that over the LARP time. Realize now we also need to set timer to 0 because we're reusing the same timer. Forget to do that. Now the timer's incrementing over delta time. It LARPs back up to its old original position. Focus point's still the same. Then we comment out this old test code. And there we go. Let's give that a try now. Cool. It compiled, launching the game. So what I'm working on now is the ability for a camera to zoom in on a unit, like a new enemy as it spawns, and then rotate around them. Just to give a little bit of an intro, like a little cinematic intro. I'm going to be using it on the boss, but also for when new enemy types are introduced. Then possibly pop up text on the screen. So here it is. It seems like something wrong with the lerp time there. The camera lerp time is 0.5. It seems like it kind of snapped into place. I think I have to set is animating true. Possibly. A little comment here. We have constants, but we want to move these to parameters or constants in the file. We don't want to keep them in this function. And we want to set the camera I said is that animating, so other functions won't override the animation. Our rotate around was right. I'm going to replace the rotate around with something that involves raycasts on the next attempt. Let's give that a try. So compile it. I think the issue was that other coroutines and functions were essentially overriding the camera's position and preventing it from zooming in, because I wasn't tagging it as animating. But now that the camera is animating, it'll prevent other coroutines from grabbing hold of it. Welcome, Tamir. Yeah, I try to stream every weekend. I would like to kind of get in the habit of doing that. This past weekend, I was just, to be honest, I was working on stuff that I didn't really want to be doing on stream. So I said I'm streaming today. And I feel like this is something that's kind of visually appealing. You got the little cutscene of the zooming in on them, but it still seems to be jumping. So why is that happening? To find out, I will add a breakpoint and we can take a look. Also not sure why I get achievements pop-ups every time I call the cheat to kill enemies. If I end turn, it should zoom in. It's going to hit my breakpoint. Here we go. Animating is now true. Camera position is set. The lerp time is 0.5. Timer is 0, that is less, so that is correct. Increment the timer by some amount. The position, we have the original. Still in the original position. Camera position that we want to go to is determined. It looks low to the ground, so that seems correct. The timer ratio is very small, so that's also correct. Possible... No, that looks fine. Maybe there's like a rounding issue. But we're looking at the focal point, so that should be okay. Oh, I'm stupid. Obvious. I forgot to do a yield return null. Most obvious part. There we go. Now it should work. Just a minor little programming mistake. And the other things, so after I test this, verify that it works, the next thing I want to do is try to accommodate for the ray casting issue. So like if characters spawn and they're blocked, their view is obstructed. Maybe there's something I can do about that. Either speed up the animation to get to a point where they're not obstructed, or zoom in closer so that their face is not blocked. I think it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so I can just kind of kill them. See what it looks like if more spawn. Really shouldn't have done the burning mode, because now they're just going to take this. It's a little bit annoying how it, like, if I pause here. Yeah, thank you. I think the one annoying thing is it kind of zooms in, right? And then at the end, it rotates very quickly. And then it slows down. That does look really cool, though. He, like, stands up with a shotgun and everything. It's so cool. I think it rotates a little bit too fast at the end, maybe. Here we zoom in. Look, it's an eclipse. The day of the eclipse, we got a fish eclipse as well. So it rotates around, and then it goes back out. Zooming out seems fine. It generally keeps the focus on the thing that it was just looking at, so there's no change there. And I can kill all of them. And again. Okay, let's see. Ready to pause. Yeah, so here it's, okay, this is when it's the real problem. Basically, it's, the forward, it's when the camera is looking in the opposite direction of the critter. So what's gonna happen here is it zooms in, the critter's facing forward, but the camera was behind them, and it wants to look at their face. So what it does is it's gonna flip a full 180 degrees around in the last couple frames, and that looks really awkward. So ways to mitigate that. I can go based on the forward direction of the camera, so that if the camera's behind the unit when it spawns, it doesn't do the 180, it would just go down to their head level and then rotate. But then the question is, should it rotate the same degrees? Like, should it show them from behind? It's kind of weird. I would like to see their face. It could, from behind, speed up to have the same end rotation position, but just rotate faster to get to that end rotation. Maybe I always, maybe that's weird, always spin 360 degrees. I could try that and see how that feels. Just always rotating 360 degrees. There's also something else I can do. Well, I can't fix that. This. Instead of doing a lerp, I should have a tween. imported a DoTween package. There should be one for just getting like a function to do a tween. I want to do a smooth and ease. Search ease, what comes up. Ease dot something. Oh, that's just an enum. Oops. Hit cancel. What other easing functions? My normal way of doing something like this is to expose a public parameter for a curve and just let the editor, whoever's editing data, choose how that should look. But now I just want to hard code something. I might just Google real quick. Unless, oh. There's this ease function. But it's the delegate. We can do find all references, but probably not going to find anything useful. Okay, let me just do a quick Google search. So if I do a quick search, I want to see, just to double check, this is DoTween, right? That I'm using. Yeah. So is there a way to just do a DoTween ease function without having to do like a transform ease or anything? I'm familiar with a transform.do move, things like that. I'm just trying to do something simpler, just like a vector 3. I wonder if DoTween even just has a vector 3 function like that. Got the lerp. And just for vectors. Theoretically, I could just do, what was I? Here? DoTween dot. User property field, given the value using a custom plugin. Yeah, I'm just taking a look at different functions available in DoTween. Yeah, I'm trying to do the simplest, just do an easing function. Maybe I should just Google. I don't remember off the top of my head how to do it. Okay. Looks like it's just one equation. So, out of laziness, I will just copy it. Float. This ratio is this. Ratio is this. I can always clean that up later, but I just want to see what this looks like. Okay, now the ratio is eased. We go back here. That should be slightly smoother. Oh yeah, I also wanted to see if the orbit amount was 180. That will spin a full 360 degrees. And now, I just want to see what that would look like if it did spin 360 degrees. I don't think it'll look very good. I kind of like the small rotation, but worth a try. Hop into the match. Okay, so right now full 360. Yeah, that's too much. This feels like too much time. Like, don't talk to me or my two sons ever again. I just feel compelled to do this for some reason. Oh no, hit the conveyor. I wanted to hit them all with a grenade. Okay, skip that test. I didn't really notice the easing, but let me pay extra close attention to it this time. By end turn, it should ease into the position. After the first one, I can pause. Oh yeah, I guess I do notice it. So here it should move faster in the beginning, and then slow down as it gets closer. Okay, kill all of those. Just make sure that the jarring nature still exists. End this, and then get ready on the pause. I'll pause it before it starts. So here you see it do the 180 issue. Flips around and then rotates. I could do a conditional spherical LERP to the face. It's just a lot of effort. .360 is obviously not good. And then it needs to very quickly rotate back, so it's awkward again. When it returns to its original position, it's also a bit odd, because the original position could be very opposite of what it used to be, so it would also require a very quick flip at the end. Maybe focusing on the spawning unit should spin. Maybe that's better. So before I zoom in, the camera focuses, it moves to a position where it's forward looking of the unit, and then it zooms into first person, rotates, and then zooms back out. Might be better. Think about that. So here, as an example, it's moving into the position right now, but there's no rotation change. And then when we zoom in, it obviously flips. Rotates step by step. I think I'll actually rotate around would also kind of be nice to have the easing. It's kind of like how it looks. Focus timer, so we got the ratio, we got the eased ratio. I'll change this back to 25 because the 180 is obviously bad. And let's take a look at the start of turn step state. So this is the part where we... I don't know why there's a comment to slow down. Focus on the... How about orbit the camera around the new enemy's head. Yeah, okay, so here when we say focus on position, I do have an ease type in here, which is funny. LARP camera to position and rotation is called in here. This has a use spherical LARP, so maybe that's what I want. If there was some way for me to expose that, so how often is focus on position called? It's probably called in a lot of places. I think I might just make a note to do it later, to be honest. Or at least I'll jot it down so I don't forget. So making a note, the thing we want to do here is focus on position. Focus on position should call, or it should rotate the camera before zooming in. So that way we know that when we zoom in, it'll always be just a forward zoom. However, for now, I'm going to ignore that. Not even sure the slow time scale is doing anything. Give this another try. Give it a run. There it goes. Up into a match. Gonna need to make this loading screen look nicer as well at some point. Okay, so we got the unit spawning. Zoom. Oh god, the easing was messed up. It's very wrong. What did I do wrong there? Oh, I see. Yeah. That is not the same sort of equation. I was incrementing it by the amount of time that passed. Whatever. I'm not gonna bother with the easing there. I am too lazy. Okay, so that is done. The other thing I wanted to do was make the boss spawn with a different spawn visual. So I open up the enemy spawner. In the enemy spawner, we have a prefab. Incoming enemy spawn here. Have that as a game object. But instead of doing a resources load, maybe instead I should make it load different ones based on the enemy that is spawning. The boss will spawn with a different color. In that case, where is this used? It should be used when we spawn an incoming prefab, but there's enemy spawn info. That includes the enemy, which is a config. Yeah. So if we open up the enemy data config data, so you should be able to add game object here. Incoming enemy spawn prefab. I don't know why it's a string. Game object, incoming enemy spawn prefab, and this is the prefab to spawn. And this enemy is spawning. That way the boss can have a different version. And if we go to the enemy spawner, we no longer need to do this resources load. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. This comes straight out of the enemy. Cool. Now I can make variations of it that are different colors, so the boss can spawn differently. It can be slightly bigger, it can be red, more menacing. It could also, well, yeah. I was gonna say maybe have them spawn different colors based on the animal, but I'd rather them be more tied to what's actually spawning. Like, you know, if you're fighting the chickens, that the chicken's gonna spawn. It's not as useful information. So I'll drop that here, take a look. And then I'll make a variant of it. Coming enemy spawn boss. Here, prefab variant. It allows me to open this up. Grab the blue version. Take a look at some of these properties here. Oh, it's just the material. Oh, it's a sound. Where's that material used or referenced? Under renderer here. So if we take a look at that, we'll throw on a red. And inside is some sort of outer glow. Why is this blue? Oh, it's not. It's just black, but then the glow is blue. So I'll turn this to a red. Something about it still seems blue. I'm missing something. Lights? Color over lifetime? No. Not sure what's causing this to be blue. Or maybe it's just my head. I could also just find the red version. You can just copy component and then paste values. Slightly different. Pretty much the same. I think what I'll do is I'll just leave this version, because I would rather not, just in case I changed in the base, I did something to it, then it would at least be using the same object. Okay, and then the scale, I'll make it a little bit bigger, so 3.5 maybe, so ever so slightly bigger. It might not be enough though. Be a 4. Make this also a 4. And then of course I have to change out materials and everything else. Just material, change the glow, rename it to red. Outer glow doesn't have anything. Regular glow. Color over lifetime, but it's just intensity. Here it looks blue though, so I'll change that to red. Glow dark. Change that also to a dark red. Particles. Color over lifetime, so change these to a red. Orange, possibly. That seems good. Particles end. There is also color over lifetime, so we got some more blues to change. A little bit orangish. See how that looks. Low end also has a red. Yeah, and this is nice dark red color. a cyan, so I'll go with the lighter orange here. That should be good. We just play it again, see? The inside still looks a little blue. I don't know if that's an optical illusion or something. Maybe it's just black. It's like a black hole. But there we go. So they're slightly scaled up. Boss variant. So now if I go back to the enemy, just enemy data, we look at every single enemy data. The incoming prefab would be the incoming spawn. And then if I go down to just the boss, this boss gets its own variant version. I can delete the word variant from the name. Cool. Let's get my windows straight again. So now if I hop into a game, the enemies shouldn't be any different, but then the boss should spawn with a different looking spawn point. Actually, I'll go ahead and add a bull here. Zoom camera or orbit camera on spawn. Default that to false. And I'll conditionally hook that up afterwards. Should the camera zoom in and orbit around this unit when it spawns? Okay, enemy instead of unit. Cool. And then I'll eventually hook that up just to bosses and possibly first time appearing units as well. Yep, okay, so the spawn looks good here. And at this point, I'll just kind of skip straight to the final boss because I want to verify that it actually has a different... oh, not skip there. I want to verify that the final boss has the different spawn visual. Oh, that looks pretty cool, I will say. The evil looking chicken spawning. That's annoying when the raycast is blocked. I'll kill all of them with my cheat and turn. This will jump forward. Turn again, we should see it focus on them. Kill all of them. A new item. There we go. So we got the boss. A nice big orange, red looking, orange looking spawn point. Glowing nice and bright, so you can see it affecting the other geometry. Very clear, that's where the boss will spawn. Now if I end turn, it should play its little entry animation where it does a little battle cry. Take a look. The giant chicken. Holding the Gatling gun a little bit too high. Yeah, I don't have a custom animation for holding the Gatling gun, so it's just using the assault rifle animation. Just holding the Gatling gun like an assault rifle. I wonder if I could find one that is a Gatling gun animation. But I think the problem is that I'd have to find a run animation for it as well. So it's more than just... It would have to have like an 8-way directional or 4-way directional run, and then I can blend. And also an idle. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to test. So let me take a look at the boss wave. The way this data is set up, it spawns the boss first and then the others. So actually, I'm going to flip them. That way the boss spawns after. So you get a whole wave and then the boss spawns. That way it looks cooler. For my grenade, it's not going to do a lot. Yeah, obviously I'm not actually testing the gameplay. I don't have any upgrades or anything, so I would die in this situation. But it was cool how the boss spawned. If I kill this and relaunch just to verify my change. Yeah, it's set up so that the boss will, or here, orbit camera on spawn. Say if what's this enemy spawn dot, oh no, yeah, there should be a data in the enemy spawner. Oh, incoming enemy data. That's what it is. Enemy spawn dot incoming enemy data. So if we orbit, then we do this logic. That a try. Hop into the match. So it no longer focuses, but I'm going to go ahead and come off. Wait, what happened here? It turned into a pink ghost. Uh-oh. What is this? Why? I want to know what items he had. Why did he turn pink? What items did he have? Weapon container. Oh, so he had stealth. So there's some issue here, it seems, where if a stealth unit dies... The bug, it seems to be if the stealth unit dies out of combat. So let me take a look at Stealth Cloak here. Invis. No, it should be called Stealth. That's just Stealth Passive. Here we go. If we look at Stealth Passive, there should be something for on shooter died. We set Stealth to be false. Set dissolve shader active false would be the case. But dissolve shader active would have been false. Yeah, so if we're setting it active and it was inactive, so skip that. If we're setting it to be inactive and model swapped, but we don't have the model swapped. Oh, that's correct. So then we do this, which says store it to the original values for the body material and the eyes. Now body material, where's that set? It's set when we first go active. So if we were never active to begin with, essentially we just want to say if there was never a body material, or if we never had it set. Like it's probably safe to do. If not active and body material is not null. Okay, minor fix. But I should be able to just end turn. And we'll see. Okay, we got our new enemy spawning. End turn. Take some burn damage. Enemy spawn. Kill them. Another stealth. End turn. You should see the boss spawn. Okay, so now if I enter, it should show these two should spawn, and then it should zoom in on the boss. It should not zoom in on the small ones, just on the boss. The boss should be second. Let's see if that works. It did not work. Oh, because, wait. Did I not set the... I didn't actually check the checkbox. Oh my god. Okay. Good to know. The other annoying thing is that the offset here, the canvas, is not above the head, so it's kind of overlapping. That can be pretty annoying. So I should figure out a way to move the canvas up. I can think of that. Okay, so I'll save that. If I open up the that shooter prefab with the canvas. Look. So I have the canvas set at a position. Then rotating root, that's the thing that scales. But I don't want shooter canvas in rotating root. So I could either add a new thing called scaling root, which the canvas goes into. But I don't want to scale up the canvas as well to make it bigger. I just want to move it up. So instead, canvas has a billboard. I could add a new bone here in the rotating route and call it the canvas anchor. That way, canvas has its position. Wrong Z, which is weird because it's rotated, I guess. But the canvas anchor can roughly go there. And then when we scale, what would that be? No, I have one called shrink modifier, size modifier. I forget what it's called. I know the chibi is. What if I search shrink? Yeah, I call it armature scale, even though it's not the armature anymore. It used to be. Armature, scale, shooter, modifier. Now we have the rotating route. I go here, add a new field. Transform, and this is the canvas anchor. Or I can call it bone, true canvas bone. So that way, as units grow and shrink, the canvas will follow their head height, go up and down. That would be here. Canvas is where? Oh, it's just down there. And I can make a helper function here. Just a public. Void set shooter scale. Local scale. What we do is we set that scale. Here we scale the shooter's route. Then we also want to move the canvas into the correct position. And here we do the shooter canvas transform position is canvas bones position. There we go. Now I have this armature scale. And that can now call the helper function. There we go. So that was the main scale. So I used that for growing and shrinking for the boss and for the chibi units. So it should affect both. We should be good. Okay, so that was two things I'm testing now. The canvas offset for the boss units. And now I also want to verify that the camera will zoom in on the boss now that I had the checkbox checked. Skip the wave. With the annoying status effects. An enemy spawn. And turn. Finish the wave. So now, I'm going to position it like this just so it looks nice. Although the boss is going to get cut off, isn't it? Because it's going to zoom in here and get cut. Oh well. So, and turn. Canvas now is above his head, so that should be good. That's working. Chickens. Chickens in armor. Shadow chickens in armor. Okay, so we got the boss spawning. We got the health bar spawning now correctly on top of the head as it increases in size. The one really annoying part is just the camera zooming in, and orbiting, getting cut off by map geometry, basically like clipping through the walls and stuff. So that's the big thing that I need to overcome. There's a couple ways I could deal with that. For one, maybe I could look slightly above at an angle, so it's not directly in front. It doesn't exactly solve it. The other bad thing is I feel like I'm starting a little bit too close. So, which is a shame. Right now the distance to the unit is 5 units, but I'm actually going to increase that maybe to 8. And refresh that. And just to make the testing a little bit faster, I'm going to make it so the boss wave spawns first for match 4. If I go to match 4, I like the boss wave to be the first wave just for testing. Just so I don't have to skip 2 waves to get there. That was particularly bad. Okay, I'm gonna try a raycast. So what we can do, which I can go ahead and delete all this old code, commented out code. Okay, so we have our focus point. Camera to focus point exists. We have that. Perform a raycast to see if the path is obstructed. Well, let's see, recast to shooter buffer distance. We'll set that to 2F. Okay, so what we do is we raycast from the focus point plus negative camera to focus point. Oops. But that's the, let's see. Whatever. I'll just do that normalized. Normalize that, multiply by buffer distance. Okay, that's the start. I don't know what I just said. Page down, I guess. Okay, so we now go raycast from the point to the camera. Of course, we need a distance. Distance meaning our desired distance from shooter minus the buffer. That's now origin direction. Origin direction max distance. Okay, and if that hits anything, then our distance is blocked. I guess I should output the hit point. Oh, we need the direction. I forgot that parameter. This is that. And we need the out hit point. What is an overload that takes this before? So out, raycast hit. I think that's good. So if we hit something, then the camera I suppose we could just do this instead. That first, and then we just override the camera position if it wasn't good enough. So that would essentially be the hit info's point. That would be where we hit. But this is using the rotated vector. Yeah, good enough. So the rotate around, it's not an instant solve, but it's slightly better. And the problem is it could end up being too close to the camera, which would be really bad. I'm using transform.rotate around right now to rotate the camera, but if I instead do my own rotation and I do a raycast every frame, that way I can jump forward if I end up hitting something. Yep. So what I'm working on now is the camera will rotate around the boss when it spawns. Like the camera zooms in, shows his face, and rotates around. But the problem there is that if the boss spawns next to a wall, the camera will clip into the wall and you don't actually see the boss at all. So what I'm doing now is I'm experimenting with doing a raycast to check if there's a wall in the way and then prevent showing it, or not prevent showing it, but rotate. Yeah, but the problem is it only does it at the start. So you saw there at the end, the camera was clipping into this wall, but that was after the initial, so it's only checking on the first time and then rotating. I need to make it check every frame. And that is why here, actually, let's check it out on the side. So here I have rotate around, that's what I'm doing. But if I replace that with my own calculation, my own rotation, then I can perform a raycast. So we're going to calculate the desired camera position by rotating around the focus point. And then, of course, perform a raycast every frame to ensure the wall is not blocking view. So what do I need to do in order for that to work? It's basically I just do this calculation every time. The total orbit amount. And the orbit amount starts at negative, oh, not orbit amount, but the current orbit value is starting orbit amount, but we want it negative because we start negative and then go positive. So if we have our current orbit value, we can hide this. So the orbit value we increment by this little equation that I used to have. Double the orbit amount and then divide by the amount of time that passed as a fraction. That way by the end of the focus time, we will have rotated the full orbit amount. And then lastly, I could just copy this, but it's unfortunate to duplicate all that logic. Maybe I could move it to a separate function. Hit campaign, camera, orbit, focus. Position. So we have the orbit amount, or total orbit amount. Focus point. Best is needed. I guess let me just copy paste the code, remove the code inside. How many of these are used? The focus point stays. This vector is not used. That's not used. And then camera position is the result. So I can cut this. That there. That back. Vector 3. We're on position. It's now that. We have our focus point, and we have orbit mount. Okay, we also need the shooter to focus on. Shooter to focus at this point. I don't know what distance from shooter is. Where did that come from? Oh, that's another constant. Oh, and the buffer distance. Honestly, I could just move these into here. Now constants for that function. I think the rest is covered. If I kill the game, refresh. Oh, right. I need to actually return position. Okay, and then here, our desired position. There. Oh, we also need the, not the total orbit amount, so we don't really care about that. What we want is the current value, I think just the orbit value. Yeah. And then when we call it originally, instead of orbit amount, we want negative. Here we go. Set the orbit value, and then here we got these parameters at this point. And the current orbit value is parameter. Okay. Oh, I see. We're using the camera position value. Cool. So with that, now the camera should perform raycasts and check if there are walls in the way as it's rotating around, showing off the boss character. Hopefully, so I'm going to run it and test. Hopefully the boss will spawn next to a wall so we can actually test it. But yeah, verify. Let's take a look. In the game. Got some enemies, and there's the boss. Something happened. Okay, what was that? Why did the boss not? It seemed like it didn't rotate. Am I not incrementing the orbit value? No, I should be. Amount of time that passed divided by focus time. Current orbit value. It starts off as negative. Yes, getting the vector. I guess what I'll have to do is just put a breakpoint, make sure. Maybe not even a breakpoint, I can just do a debug log. I can log out what the current orbit value is. And also, I kind of want to do a debug.draw line for this raycast. Oh, I see. I'm returning camera position here also. Oh no, that was right. Let's do a debug.draw line. So the start point is this. And the end point is too lazy to actually condense it, so I'm just going to add these. I have to normalize it. So we'll do this in color.red or 1F. Rerun it. Verify that change. So I added a debug to see what the current orbital value is, and I added a debug draw for the line so that we can actually see what kind of raycasts it's doing. And then actually verify if my my line math looks correct, but I'm just going to assume. So why, just taking a guess while it's compiling, why would it not be changing the orbital value? We're adding to the orbital value by some amount over time. And we're setting, oh, I see, we're setting camera position, but we're not actually using the camera position. That would explain it. Yeah, I mean, that was silly of me. And that would explain why it's not moving. Okay, so now that we set the camera position, still have the debug log, still have the raycast debug drawing. That's useful because I still want to see if it matters. Like, I haven't successfully tested the raycast distance from the wall yet, so having the debug drawing will help narrow down that any issues that come up there. So it's still good that we added the debug draw. Okay, hop into the match. Now let's see the boss. We got the enemies, the boss. Okay, that's a good spawn. Obviously, math is now very messed up. Let's see, where's the boss? So it's rotating around. No, but it should only be moving forward. We can see here, it's doing a raycast. It's saying this is essentially the desired position. It's like here. Okay. Which is very far. But then it's also... I should do another debug draw of like draw to the actual line that it shows. Because theoretically it should be hitting this gargoyle thing, this lion, and then stopping there. And then as it goes, I guess what the downside there is it would kind of snap back. But even that's not happening, so let's step forward a little bit. I see that the rotation's wrong. Is it because it's expecting to be here? Then because it ends... No, it should be expecting to be all the way back there. Okay, why is the rotation... Oh, because, yeah, now that I'm not rotating around, it's not even updating the rotation. Okay. I missed one aspect. Jumping back to the code. I just forgot the transform.lookAt here. And if I go back to the debug draw line, I'll draw a yellow line. And that yellow line will show... Actually, you know what? I'll just do... Start and end. I'll just end it at camera point actually, instead of all this garbage. One sec. Sorry, I had to cough there. Quick. Yeah, so I'll draw a line basically from the start point to the camera position. So if it hits something, then it will stop at that position. And let's give this a run, hop into a game, see if that worked. Okay. In. Get ready on the pause. So we see some enemies. Okay, that's a good spawn. So if I pause real quick, zoom in on the boss. He's getting ready. He's in his pose. I step forward. Camera rotates around. Flexes his diamond powers. Camera's rotating. We see the line is not obstructed. Or, well, I guess it is by this, but it's hitting it and it's stopping. We can see it's getting slightly closer. Right as it becomes obstructed, what happens? The camera snaps forward. It'd be nice if it was smoother. Add some smoothing to that later. Better than clipping. See it rotate around. Oh, yeah, and then it does that really jarring transition at the end. I still need to improve that. I made a note to it. Yeah, and then it zooms back out. Pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kill this, hop back into code, comment out this line, and by doing that, now it should play that transition or that orbit for every enemy. I want to see what it looks like in more situations. So beyond just the boss, I just want to see like more geometry, more situations. Is it jarring? Let me just kind of stress test it and show me a bunch of times. see what else. Like, is there anything else that jumps out at me as being particularly hideous looking that I need to fix? So, hop into the game, click play. Okay, just watch closely. It is kind of jarring how it snaps forward a bit. Just trying to cheat to kill them. Good chicken. And turn, more enemies should spawn. And end turn again. Now we get to look. See the rotation. Yeah, that is a little awkward how it jumps like that. Needs some smoothing for sure. If I did smoothing, I wonder, would I just do a lerp? What would be the best way to do that smoothing? Okay, go back to camera. So we set the transform. Oh, not there. There. We just set the transform position, but instead, if I did a vector 3 lerp, with a slight delay, basically. If that's any better. Just a slight easing into the position rather than jumping. Okay. We got the enemies, we got the boss. Just get very close. Is there a better way? Maybe an alternate version could be to raycast around them. The zooming in is really obnoxious when it gets really close to their face. It's not very helpful. So instead, maybe it does a raycast around them. And if there's stuff blocking it, it finds a contiguous 30-degree block that's as close to the face as possible. And then it just orbits from there. So that way you're not, you get into the situation where they're right behind a rock. Like nobody would ever be surrounded on all sides by rays or by blockers. So for example here, it would notice that this is blocking, and then it would see, you know, this is potentially blocking. So that, but this side is completely open. then if the desired position, I mean, there's some that aren't so bad. So I guess you could say nothing where it's blocked by a distance closer than X amount. And find a contiguous block that it can rotate. And just run it again, see if that would make sense. It's weird that's not obstructing it for some reason. Okay, we zoom in. Zooms in. Moves out and in awkwardly. Yeah, I do think the distance of 8 is probably too far as well. Maybe bump that back up to 5. Okay, so that distance of 8, definitely too much. Move it back to 5. Maybe 6. But it's still not good. Okay, what I think I'm gonna do, probably gonna end stream soon here because I want to go start getting ready for dinner. But my goal will be to do some raycasts around the unit and find the best starting position, and then rotate some amount that's not obstructed. Try to focus on the face, but if their face is blocked, then it might be off to the side. You can still see them doing their pose. And then, yeah, rotate some amount. And I think that should look a lot better. I'm going to do one more with the boss just to make sure. I just clicked play. I meant to... What cool food for dinner? I'm not sure. No idea. Thanks for joining, Chair. Even though I'm about to end. Yeah, I might just go out or... I don't know. Nothing fancy. I think that some of this work is also just math heavy. Oh god, that's awful. That kind of shows why I need to do this sort of check. Okay, great. I was trying to test the boss. It didn't even let me. Just immediately in the wall. Okay, let me try to find a map where the boss is not completely broken. The camera zoom in thing is just not a working solution. Problem is, if the wall is too close, it just zooms in way too close on their face. So I'm going to have to raycast, go in a circle, raycast try to find a contiguous block of 30 degrees or so to rotate around the boss where it's not blocked. Okay. Yeah, see, that's like way too close on their face. Here we got the boss spawning. Does this little animation. Like I can't even tell if that distance was good. I think this is a distance of only like 2. It did seem a little close, so a distance of 5 would be a little bit further. It's hard to zoom in on their face. Try to get a zoom in here. It's kind of stuck in this corner. Best I can get is that. Okay. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna do the rest of this math. I guess I can rotate like that. I'm gonna do the rest of my math logic off stream. And yeah, I'll get that rotation stuff fixed up. Make it look super cool for the boss. If I end up streaming tomorrow, or later in the week, what I might do is focus on the UI splash. So when it shows the boss, it'll show a little UI splash that's like, this is the boss, or whatever, the leader of the shadow creatures. I also want to do it for new enemies. So the first time you see a sniper, it might pop up something and say, sniper enemy, and then give a little detail, like they're invisible while aiming, and they're good from a distance, things like that. So it gives a little bit of details on their different archetypes. And then, yeah, just like a little bit of polish and flair. I think it just adds a little bit of extra spice to when you have the boss spawn. Yeah, I think it'll look good in the trailer as well. So that's the plan for next stream and later in the week. But for now, I'm gonna head off, grab some dinner. And thanks everyone for joining. If you're watching this in the future on a VOD, you can check out Critter Crossfire on Steam. There's a demo available now and you can play it. You can also join the Discord. The link is in the description of the video on YouTube and below the stream on Twitch. You can also do !game or !Discord, and you can get those links. So join the Discord to be included in future playtests of the campaign mode, which I am running playtest for. And check it out on Steam, drop a wish list, play the demo. You can verse the AI, try out some of the really awesome items, or you can verse your friends, 1v1 for 4-player free-for-all. But for now, I'm heading off, so thanks for joining, and I'll see you later.